Okay, as always with recording, remember that your faces are not being recorded, but I cannot see the chats and I cannot see you raise your hand. So you're going to have to speak up. If you don't have the ability to do that today and you just put it in the chat, maybe one of your peers can see it and answer it. But if you do have a question in the chat, eventually I will get to it. Or somebody that does have a mic today can alert me to the fact there's a question in the chat that needs immediate answering. Right, okay. Really? Thank you, Photoshop. Just do your best to like get those things right through there, right? And then we're gonna go down, come down here. Boop. And then we're gonna come right here and just make sure you're going through the right intersections of your lines. Okay. Now, we could go even smaller, but I say we actually leave it a little bigger than we probably need it to be. And I'm going to go to that cursor tool, and I'm just going to go through and I'm going to like just click on some of these lines that like I don't feel I really probably need. So line 6 there can go away. And especially once you start working with like opacity, like lower opacities, it's harder for the computer to like pick it up when you click on something. But we just want to kind of, I'm just cleaning up. So if you got your eraser, then just use your eraser. Oh, look, now it's just highlighting all these as I go along. Lovely. Thank you, smart computer. This is one of my older lines right here, you know, I can try to get rid of it. But I don't think I can. Let me see. It's kind of doing its thing. Okay, so you just divided that space. Why am I doing it this way? I'm such a silly Billy. Here we go. Whatever, you don't need to see that. That's fine. Stop worrying about it, Vaughn. It's freaking me out. I just want it gone. Okay, we good? We good?
Possibly.
Should look like that, y'all, minus the mess I'm making over here.
Okay, so all those crossing lines at the bottom, we should get rid of.
If you can, yeah.
Okay.
Mine doesn't look like that, but it looks like it has sidewalks now.
Yay, sidewalks. Why
know,
doesn't it look like that?
Because I have 2 lines at the sidewalk, which gives it elevation, you know, like they look like they're raised, and then I have the lanes in the street, but I don't have your center 3 pieces in the street. I have 1 middle lane and 2 dividing lanes. I have this.
Hold on, are you drawing by hand?
That's what I have. Oh, where'd it go? I can't.
I'm right here. Well, yeah, no, I can't, it can't do both, okay? Yeah, so hold it there. Okay, go ahead, put it down. Photoshop in the night. Okay, so this is this is what you have, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're close. Okay, So what you need to do is here,
Yeah,
you just need to divide that space one more time, you see? Sorry,
that space.
it's like really, I'm not a super fan of drawing in preview, but that's kind of what's happening.
Okay, so divide that space. Why? What's the objective? What am I aiming for?
Because I don't want your lines to be that big.
You don't want my lanes, the road lanes,
Lines,
lines. You
you
don't
see
want my,
like that?
uh-huh.
That's what I'm looking for, and you would find that by just dividing this one more time. You
Okay,
see?
yeah, mm-hmm.
On
Okay,
each side.
okay.
Here we go. Vaughn, that is a dreadful line. Make sure they see how I'm off and it's like not going to the vanishing point. That is not okay, Vaughn. There we go.
And now get rid of those others?
Sure.
Okay.
Anybody solve the question of the annoying arrow situation? Like I was trying to look it up online to see why some people were getting arrows instead of lines, but I haven't gotten much like luck.
I'm honestly thinking about deleting Photoshop off my laptop and then just starting all over again.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to get rid of it and I don't know how to make it back to like a normal line and not a cursor looking thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I looked. Custom shape tool, draw and edit shapes, work with the line tool. Draw a line, select the line. That's what we're doing, shape mode. You can choose between 3 line caps, butt, round, or square. Dash line. Additional options. Windows property. Creating arrows. To create an arrow, you simply add arrowheads to a line. After creating a line and setting the stroke color and width, click the gear icon on the line tool options bar. Check start to add an arrow at the end. And so who was that just spoke? Sorry.
That was me, Melania.
Okay, and Melania, can you see, can you click on your line shape, like click on your line tool?
Give me 1 second. I'm just re-downloading Photoshop now.
Okay.
Sorry,
That's okay, you just gave up. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, so you're getting little lines like that, huh?
No, I was getting like a very big cursor. It was really weird, but I'm gonna just see
looks
if
like-
this helps.
Yeah, it looks like that's where you need to go in and look, which is like the little gears thing here.
The gears, okay.
It was like, but some type of semblance of this, right? Where it had
Yeah,
like an arrow. Yeah.
it was just really big.
Yeah, I know, I saw. I'm sorry, that's the
Yeah.
best I've got. So I just typed in arrow under help. And then I clicked on where it says work with the line tool. And then at the bottom there was like info about like additional options.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be like a way to find that tutorial.
Okay. Thank you for your help though.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so now we've got like this. All right. And so we can definitely do kind of like what Heidi was saying she did. We can definitely add like see now I have arrows. We can definitely like give a height to the sidewalk. Okay. And so to do that, like we could measure, but I'm also just going to be sort of like just use a line that we've made. Like we just made this line. And so we're just going to pick up from this line here, and we're going to drag back there. It's going to take me a moment here to figure this all out, what I did wrong. So now, and again, I'm just going to take this line here and drag it to the vanishing point. So now we have a height to the sidewalk. And my road lines are a bit wide. They could be smaller, but then that gets really hard when we're drawing and trying to learn. And so a little bit bigger is better in this case because we're trying to learn. But I think they could be smaller. It looks like we're making a median. Maybe we should just make it a median instead of road lines. It'd all be the same process. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start off by just kind of like making decisions about like just elements to the sidewalk that we want to create. Okay, so when you give a viewer a chance to feel like something that they are doing is falling off the edge, it's going to make it seem more real for them. Okay, there's a better sense of continuation in terms of like how the viewer responds to what you've drawn. So go ahead and let's just go ahead and just draw a horizontal line straight through the space. And I'm basically just like a hair above where the line intersects with the edge of the picture plane. Oof. And then what we're going to do is just go over here. And then from this point downwards, you're going to draw a 90-degree angle line. Oop. And here. Okay, so what we basically have just done is we've just basically said, okay, so like this space, this line here and this line here on the sidewalk are the same plane and same distance from each other. Okay. And so they are running parallel together. So then over here, we've already got this line here. So if we pull this line up here and we have a look at that space, we could say, well, is that going to be like a good sidewalk section? And I'm going to use my perception based on my experiences. I'm just going to say, no, I don't think that's a good sidewalk section. I think what we've just done is a good sidewalk length. And just imagine that it's kind of like off the page over here. All right, so since we don't have an exact measurement, we're going to go ahead and just kind of give ourselves a consideration based on our experience. Okay, like how long would this section be? Okay, and so say that this, let's just make ourselves have something that we can visually see rather than we're just relying on imagination. We're going to go where this line that we drew earlier intersects with that line, and we're going to draw an angle down. And what I want you to pay attention to is the angle of the line. So it's 39.4 degrees. Okay, so then if I draw another line here and I pull it down until it intersects with the edge there, and I draw it until it reaches 39.4 degrees. 39.3 I'll take, that's fine. Now this point, if I draw up there and I draw over, now I have my next sidewalk section, do you see? And the reality is that like it doesn't exactly, like we just made that angle up. And what you're going to see is as long as you get the angle consistent, it should diminish. You could also find the angle from like here to here. And if you do the next one, so it's 84.2. If I do this and I do that again, 84.2. Then that would tell me where the next one's going to go here, you see? And then I can pull this straight down here. And then this one should be 86.4. Or I think, what did we have? I can't remember. Right, 38.4. And then this one now should be 38.4. Look, and it is. Do you see? It's basically the right. I'm just off because I'm rushing. So as long as your line is consistent,
Do we just glide with our, if we're using our ruler?
yes, you can just do that. Absolutely. So we really only need one measurement. So we're gonna use the 38.4 measurement. So I'm gonna take all these away. Okay, so we're gonna use that 38.4 measurement. And I'm gonna go from this corner here down here until I get to 38.4. And I'm gonna have to hold down control because it's not letting me get that exact number. It's like, you can have 38.5. Fine, I'll take 38.5. Okay, now where that line comes down and intersects here, I know I'm going to do a straight 90-degree angle up. And I'm going to do a 180-degree angle over. Same thing again, 38.4. And straight over. Everyone clear?
I think I understand the sidewalks.
Well, that's all we've done so far, so that's good. I'm just gonna keep going back until the end. You just need to, you see, remember we talked about this idea that there would be rules, and like once you learned the rule, you can kind of apply it wherever. I'm not telling you to apply a 38.4 degree angle everywhere. I'm just telling you to remember that if you use similar angles once you've decided on an angle, if you just repeat it and use it over and over again, you will start to get a diminishing space the way that the space should be diminishing in terms of its perspective. Now, what will happen, right? Like, especially if you're on a piece of paper with a ruler, the further back you get, the smaller it gets, the harder it's going to be. And so what I ask you to do is just for as long as you possibly can, I want you to make sure you're maintaining like the rule. Okay. Eventually it will just disappear. We have the fortunate nature in like on digital to just like zoom in, but you can't do that in real life, of course. Okay, someone's off mute. Could you please mute, please? Unless you have a question, which is very welcome. All the way back, as far back as you can go. Now the other side is way easier. We can just grab a guide and drop it down. Boop. If you're using your ruler, just line up your ruler on the left side, and then you'll be able to draw a horizontal line right over to your right side. And you should see all, do you see all my guides? They're diminishing at an even rate. That's what we need. So over this side, I'm just going to use that to help me draw my lines. Students will sometimes ask me, like when we do this, like, why can't we just use the symmetry tool? And we could do, except for the fact that I want you to practice. And it's not like Photoshop doesn't have a gazillion little like magenta guides to help you, to tell you when you're in line. If you're on paper, you're getting, it might be a wee bit difficult, but the reality is that it's actually, I think it will stick in your brain longer if you do it by hand. But that might just be the, you know, the boomer in me or whatever you want to call me. I guess I'm a Zoom. Am I a Zoomer? I don't even know anymore. I used to be the Slack generation, which I always thought was kind of cool. But now I'm just old. So go ahead and do that, y'all. This is the tool I like to use when I'm, creating my photographs of my face for Instagram, just smoothing out, just smooth out, just smooth out. That is, after all, what Photoshop was created to do. I'm going to clear the guides away. Boop.
How do you clear guides?
Go up to view, just hit clear guides. Okay, how are we doing, everybody?
how do you undo a delete that I just cleared all the guides and I didn't want to? How do you undo that?
Command or Control Z.
Control Z, oh, right, back. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I got a little distracted way back, mouthed off my landlord and got threatened with an eviction. So I'll rewatch the video and refrain from asking questions. I don't want to hijack class that far back.
Okay. Well, we're about to do a very similar practice right now to do the lines on the road, so hopefully it will click. Sorry to hear that.
Mm.
Okay. So we're going to do lines in the, well, we said we're going to make a median. I just can't, the lines are too wide. It's just going to drive me a little bit not happy. So we're going to make a median, but we're going to use the same exact principle, except for there will be a median rather than lines. So we want to make sure that the lines are going to, the median is going to, we don't want it to line up with the sections of the sidewalk because like that would just be too easy. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one of our corner to corner things, and we're going to find the center of the sidewalk. Okay. And so we're going to go in here. We're going to go corner to corner there. And corner to corner here. Logan, you are still on mic.
Sorry.
That's okay, no worries. And then when they intersect, you're gonna just draw that, like, you know, that vertical line through it. It's not on the grid, so I have to hold down Control to get it to scoot over nice and evenly. Now, I guess if you're on Photoshop, you don't even need to draw a line there, okay? But if you're using a pencil, just lightly put a line there. If you're using Photoshop, you can just pull a grid guide down until you line it up from that guide there to the bottom of the sidewalk and lock it into place like that. Okay. Now, in this section here, this section of the sidewalk, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go corner to corner. Okay. And then grab a guide, vertical line through the center of that intersection. Grab a guide, horizontal line where they meet.
Okay, please slow down for a sec. Please slow down for 1 sec.
So the reason I'm doing the guide is because it just means we have to make less lines, but you can make lines if you want.
That first one was through, the first one you did, now you have like a Navajo cross, but that first one that you did vertically is from the center of the first sidewalk section. The second one is from the second sidewalk section going vertically, and then horizontally drawn through that intersection. Okay, through that intersection of, no, they're not, they're not quite on, but that's what the intention was there.
Yes.
No, I don't understand. The horizontal isn't matching up to anything. What is that matching up to?
The intersection of the vertical line to the bottom orthogonal of the sidewalk.
Ah, the
Bottom orthogonal of the sidewalk.
it's just chosen rando.
Nope. It's the intersection of the vertical line here with the bottom.
Oh, of
We're-
the bottom of the sidewalk. Got it. The bottom orthogonal. Okay, got it.
Cool.
Yes.
Good. That's okay. Just think about the idea of the bottom, or that bottom orthogonal is basically the road.
And it
So-
wouldn't matter anywhere where if we did this in the square before the one you did, it wouldn't matter any difference what we're doing right now, would it?
It just matters in the sense that we can't see that whole sidewalk section.
Oh,
But
I
what you
see.
could do,
Okay,
what
okay,
you
got it. Yeah,
what you could do is you could find your 38.4 degree angle. And look, actually, no, you see, we're really close. 38.7. 38.4 would be there. So actually we could, see this if we wanted to say that that was there. I just chose not to, but that's where the other, that we could technically see that part of that sidewalk there. And how do I know? Because I just found the same thing over here where we found the 38.4 section over here. Remember we found that 38.4 degree line on that
Yeah.
side?
yeah,
I just mimicked that over here, and I just went that corner to that corner instead. And I
Yeah.
found that we could technically sit that piece of sidewalk on the edge of the picture plane if we wanted to.
yeah. Okay,
Okay, but what I'm going to do now, we don't need to know that really. Technically speaking, or hopefully all of these sections are proportionally the same as they diminish, that their proportions diminish evenly. And so these two, the way that they diminish in terms of finding the center should then correlate to the same in the front here when we do the front bit over here in the median. So now just go ahead and you want to solidify just that line there. And this line here. And then you can turn off those guides. And so now we have that. And so then this edge of the median is lining up with the center of that sidewalk, and this edge is lining up with the center of that sidewalk. It's going to not look like the center, like that looks more like the center, but that's minus the height of the sidewalk. Okay. So now we get to decide like how far apart are these medians going to be. Okay. And so what I want to do, just because I think it's easier for us to do this and we are making this up, I'm just going to draw a line from there into there, and I'm just going to say, how far is that? Okay, it's a 9.8 degree angle. It looks a bit close. Why don't I go a little bit further? .6. So this angle is from this point to that point is 15.6 degrees. And I can drag a guide down. Now, if you're using paper and pencil again, just do this lightly. I can drag a guide down and draw a line if I need to, or I can just draw that part that I need to solidify. So now I have this part here. I have this median, and then I have a space, and then I have the next median. Okay. How big was this line? I don't remember the angle. 15.8. Okay.
How do we do that in reverse? Oh,
Yeah.
you're about to show us. Okay.
Mhm. So when I draw a line from that top corner, right, let's look at this. Let's work this out together. Okay. We don't even need to do that, Vaughn. What are you even doing, you silly Billy? Okay. So then we said that this to there was 15.8. And that gave us that measurement, but it's going to be, and so that gave us this measurement here. So then what we want to do is we want to take the measurement from this point and we're going to travel it through there and we're going to put it in here and get that measurement. And so we have 36.6
Why there?
because it's the outside edge of the other median. You see? Start screaming. Do you see it's intersecting with that point there? You see? Once we have one number, that's really all we really need. So we said it's, come on, participate with me, please, Photoshop. You know, 36.7, it looks like. So now we should be able to draw a line here. That's going to be 36.7. And then this gives us from here to here. And we can check that with this line. This line is supposed to be 15.5. So if I pull a line here and it's 15.5, then it should line up with this. You see, and it does. Do you see? Now we just need to establish the length. And so in here we have a line and it is 42.2. And so then if we just do 42.2, then we know where this next edge is. And once we know it works, we only really need to mimic this longer line, I think. Okay, we don't need to mimic both of them. That's just a check. I just keep forgetting what the length is. The angle is 37.7, I think we said. You see, so then if I just take that and I drop it here, then when I do this, I should be creating my diminishing space. And then from there, I just go to my 42.2. And then I have my back edge. Now, as we start getting a bit more used to Photoshop, we can even do something like this. And we should be able to drag it. Drop it. And then it becomes even more like a traditional ruler. And then we can pick up one of these lines, maybe, and do the same thing. So it's almost like a a handheld ruler then, more than drawing each line individually. So I'm just clicking that cursor and I'm going to the line and I'm right clicking so I get that little menu. And then I pick up the line and then I could just drag it. And then I draw my line. And then I pick up this line. I'd use the cursor though.
Professor V,
Yeah.
I'm afraid
Professor
I gotta go.
Vaughn.
Professor Vaughn, sorry.
Hi. Yeah. What's wrong?
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta get to work.
Don't we end at 12:20?
What?
Okay, that's fine. I'm just freaked out now. I thought don't we usually end at 12:20?
Oh no, you're fine. Sorry.
Okay, but if you have to go, then that's fine. Go.
He just said he just had to go to work.
Yeah, I just thought I
leaving.
had the time wrong. That's all.
All right, bye.
Bye. So I'm just using this, y'all, just like we said, right? It's just like a ruler. And I'm just picking it up and dropping it. And now back here, everything is so small, it probably won't even show up. You know what I mean? On my when I zoom out. Okay, so now we have our medians running down the middle of the road. And you do the same exact thing for lines. You would change absolutely nothing for lines. It would be the same exact thing. Now these are just going to be painted medians, okay? Like little like basketball, not basketball, little bicycle boxes. if it wasn't a painted median, if it was raised, like it had a curb, then you could just pick up the height from the sidewalk. I don't know what just happened. You would just pick up the height from the sidewalk here, and you could use that height to determine the height of the median, or you could use that middle center line that we found, and the median would then be half the height of the sidewalk. To do that, you would then just draw straight lines up here, straight line up here. And then you can see that there would be a rectangle there of a different height. And then you would just rediscover the outside edges there. And there you see. Okay, so that would be how you would like build it to be raised. But we don't really need to do that. We're just going to go with this good old fashioned, very low cost. The city council couldn't raise the money for raised medians, so they're just sort of there like that. Questions? Who let me teach is not a good question. You can't ask that question. Obviously, the answer would be someone who was brilliant and knew how brilliant I was would be the answer, but you know, you might not think that way. So as you can see, I can go through and I can clean up my lines on here just by going through and picking the layer and deleting it. So again, just using that that tool and right clicking until I can pull up the line 20, boop. Line 21, boop. You see? If you want to clean it up, line 24, boop. Now you've been building things in a certain way, so don't like just go through and delete like the next one that highlights, because that is going to be something which you might see. It's the rectangle, you see. Now, if you're working on paper and a pencil, just use your eraser. Okay, questions?
I think I'm good for now. I'm just deleting those extra lines.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now let's kind of like look to see what other kind of trouble we could get in. Well, you know, one of the things we could do, say right now you're thinking, wow, Professor Vaughn, you know, I don't really like this idea. I really just wish that those were two normal sized lines in the road. Okay, I get it. I understand. So I'm going to go to my line tool. And I'm going to go from here, because we know how big this one is. I'm going to corner to corner there, like that. And here, I'm going to go corner to corner here. And now I can go to my vanishing point, place my cursor at the vanishing point and I can pull straight through there. And I can pull straight through here. Whoops. Now, I can say, well, there you go. There are two more sort of like naturally sized lines, right? And all I did was divide that space. Everything looks pretty solid. I just want to do some erasing. So I'm just going to go through and basically I've erased all the lines I don't really need. So I'm going to go through real fast and I'm just basically going to, I'm going to turn off this line. No, I need that line. That line, no. This line, no. Okay, so it should be this one. 86, 85, 84, and 83. And I can just take those and I can go select them all by hitting Shift, select, hit delete, and now they're all gone. And then what I need to do basically is just go through. I don't think I really need that line anymore, right? I can get rid of that line. Boop. And I'm gonna select all the lines I just made. I'm gonna make sure that they're visible. And I know they are because I can see them. I'm just gonna hit merge visible. Oh, pardon me, didn't need merge visible. I needed, pardon me. I can do merge visible. I can just go down here and turn off these two layers. And then I can just so go over here, select all. I probably don't even need to do that. I think I can just click on merge visible. Yeah, now they're all merged. And now I can just go in, boop, 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 boop. And I can go here to my eraser. Paint tool, let's go with the paint tool. Oh, I was on the wrong layer, line 54. There we go. And I can just kind of like go in and erase all the lines that I don't need. If you're on digital, if you're on pencil and paper, this is actually way easier. You just erase it, right? It's a little harder on here. Some of you are Photoshop wizards and you were like, yeah, I already did that by sneezing. Just don't need this stuff. I don't need it in my life. Get out of here. You know, just not good energy. Go on, scram.
Is it the merge shapes option or the merge visible?
Just merge visible, but just make sure you only have the layers you want to merge visible. So like, don't merge it to your first drawing that you imported today.
Mm-hmm.
Because like on mine, that was just a flat layer and I couldn't do what I'm doing right now. So I merged every line I had done today, I merged, but the stuff I did the other day is still on two separate layers, the buildings and then the color, the background color. If you merge what you did today with like your older layers, and then you try to delete, you may not be able to delete it. It may be a different reaction. See, now those lines feel more believable, right? They feel more like lines in the middle of the road. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, okay, well, I want this to be the space that's in the old drawing. You see like that middle line is in the old drawing. So I'll have to erase that later on when I flatten things further. But there you go, you see? Can you mute yourself, please, Alexander?
Sorry.
It's okay, unless you have questions. And in the end, the road you made has a bunch of lines and it is real cool. Okay. Ready?
Not quite.
Hands up if you're ready. Hands up, hands high. You've got your perspective drawn right. Do we sing MIA? She's anti-vax. Do we sing MIA now? Or are we just like, we're not gonna sing MIA? Maybe some of you are anti-vax and that's why you sing MIA. They should be quiet.
Give me just a minute.
Maybe I don't want to.
Oh, that's fine.
I think so too. No, let's wrap this little bit up. Resume recording. We're gonna record, yeah. Okay, so what we're gonna do is like, okay, I feel like we've kind of already got like a little bit of an understanding on buildings. So we're gonna like kind of like jettison the building on the left a little bit, and we're going to start a process of creating another type of thing that we haven't really tackled yet. Okay, so what we're going to do, and I think this is going to work out great. I'm really excited for this. I know you're really excited for this as well. But like what I am going to do with you is we're going to go in here and let's just go ahead and what's the best way for me to do this, I think, because I want to deal with the space we already created over here. Boo, 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 boo. Okay, so we're just gonna like, let's just go ahead and we're not gonna find an exact measurement. We're just gonna go ahead and like just draw a line like that, vertical line, 90 degrees, and it's just, I don't know what that section would look like. It's kind of like 1/8 of the section that's visible here. Okay. Now, let's go ahead from that section we just did there. We're just going to make a tool thin rectangle. Okay. So now you can kind of see a bit better. Okay, there we go. You all say that? Is that right? So then what we're going to do is we're going to pull from the vanishing point. We're going to pull all the way up through that top corner up there. From the vanishing point, we're going to pull all the way through down through that bottom corner there. We can do the same thing over here from the vanishing point. Always go from the vanishing point when you do orthogonals. It can really help you to make sure it's going from the vanishing point through the intersections that you need. From the vanishing point through that intersection. Through the intersection. Okay, Melania, just watch, I guess, okay?
Sounds good, we'll do.
Yeah, I mean, like sometimes students just really, in the classroom, I've done this so many times in the classroom and students have just stopped and watched me. You know, maybe that's just as good. So now we have like, basically we understand how this rectangle is moving through space based on our 1 point perspective, okay? Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Now, let's create an angle. I'm gonna make a line from this. Let's see how big is that? That's a pretty long line, okay? But let's go with that. We already had that other line in place, or I did. It's 65 degrees from the bottom right corner to the top right corner of the rectangle. Boop. So I can just drop that in there. Now, if I zoom in, boop, 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 boop. Okay, sorry about you should hear me actually drool. It's gonna get worse. I make those noises when I drool too for my students. So if I just draw a horizontal line over, just want to make sure it's purely horizontal. It's 180 degrees. What? Okay, that gives me a horizontal line there. Now what I need to do is basically I should be able to draw a straight line up here. Make sure it's straight. Boop, 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 boop. And draw a straight line up here. There you go. And then I can just do a horizontal line. Boo! Now I got two rectangles that are parallel to one another, floating in space. One of my favorite songs by Spiritualized, Floating in Space. Okay. If you don't know who Spiritualized is, you're not cool. All right. This is going to come through here, 65.2, boop, 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 boop. So then I can go over here, I can pick that up and I can do just like we did the other things. Now, the only thing we've changed is that we're now basically working vertically. Well, we're working on something that has verticality rather than lines in the road. So same exact process that we did before. Okay. And I just built off the lines that we already had there because that was going to be the easiest thing to do. And so now I can go ahead and I can grab my line tool. And now I know where this one's going to go. Okay. Then I can literally go and I can pick up this thing again. And drag it. Same exact angle, do you see? Once you've got the angle down, then you know that you can just move it along the parallel line and you can put in the lines that you need from there. It's a bit wide because it's so small back there and I'm making a mess. It's probably the thickness of my pixels there is pretty much probably all I really need. So again, same exact thing as before. If you understand the principle, if you understand the angle, then you can build things that are parallel to one another like this. Now this angle we said was 65 point something. Keeps doing that. I want to move it.
The angle said 65.18.
Perfect, thank you. It's so small, I keep picking up the other layer, that's all. 65.18, you said?
Yeah.
So then if I take this, right, and I draw a new line, let's see. Oh, it's because I'm going the opposite direction. I don't know why I just didn't do this in the first place. 115. You see, if we do that, we can see that it's going to go off the edge of the page. Do you see? Sorry about my language. I hope it makes you feel good that Photoshop is just as annoying for me and I use it a little bit here and there. There we go. So you can see like that's going to go off the edge of the page. So we know the next rectangle is not on the page. So joy of joys, we don't have to draw it. So if we went through there now, right, and we just said, okay, which one of these lines do we want to keep? Need those two lines. Need that line, that line, that line, that line. Looking for probably this line. Yeah, this line. Just go through and delete the ones I don't need, you see? Now I have that. So again, same kind of thing, right? Like, you know, your fill, you know, I'm just going to change that because it's not the right, wasn't horizontal. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to just go through your telephone poles and make sure that all of the angles of the lines are like connecting. So what I just did then, because that one's not connecting, is I just right clicked on it, found the layer, then I can just transform it by once it's selected, I can just go Control Skew, and I can just like move it into place. Sorry. Just delete it. Just do it again. So it's just a horizontal line. Don't waste so many hours on. But you want to make sure that all of your corners are intersected correctly. There we go, thankfully. And if they're all intersected correctly, then you can go to your fill bucket, paint bucket tool. And oh, I forgot. You need to find all of these little lines and make sure you have the right numbers for them. So 55, 56, and then probably 72 and 71. And you just want to flatten them. So that you can paint them. I'm actually just going to take the lines that we just made, all those red ones. I'm going to take all the red ones. I'm just going to merge them together. And now I can pick my paint bucket tool and I should be able to fill them in. So your homework asks you to do some telephone polls. Now, if you're just not like friends with Photoshop at this point, you can do your homework by hand. I don't care. But it's a weekend long homework. So that means it's going to be really, really good quality. Now, what's cool is you can also do the gradient bucket kind of thing, gradient tool. And up here, you can change your colors. And so like, you can slide this down. When it says color, you can change that color to like whatever. You can say dark green. And then you can just say, okay. And then you can just go like this. Oops, it needs to be on the right thing. Why didn't it do it in the little thing? That was annoying. Why did you do it in the little thing? Huh. Not sure what just happened, but you can definitely use the paint that tool. The issue is when you don't have connected corners. That's when things like accidentally fill in, if your corners aren't connected. So like I'm on my original layer here. See? I'm just playing with color while y'all catch up. Now then obviously we can see that like, there's the lines aren't the right color. So then we'd have to either like trace them again on this layer, or later on when we merge it all together, we should be able to like, I can merge it right now. Actually, I can do that layer and then I can click the layer above and then I can just merge them. And now I could make those lines. As long as they're connected, I can make them white, you see. Then like on the sidewalks over here, I could do like this color. Or I could be like fancy pants and they could be like brighter. And then they could get darker. And then they could get even darker because it's nighttime down there. See how we're like losing some of that. If you want to use like the paint picker tool, you can just hit option and color. So I'm going to ask you to add some color to your homework if you do it digitally. If you do it by hand, then you're just going to use different kind of color pencils and things to, not to fill in, but if you're doing it by hand, you're just going to use different kind of colors to help you to draw so you can take notice of your different layers. Those of you going digitally, like you have to add some fill layers here. Like this. So, right, so there's like different types of, there's also atmospheric perspective where things would just like naturally get lighter as they get further back. But you could also reverse that and say, well, actually it's dark, you know, it's nighttime over there and it's like lighter over here.
I didn't know that was a thing.
What, nighttime?
It's nighttime over there, but it's light over here.
It is a thing, isn't it? There's
Well,
it's transitionary is what you're saying, right?
yeah.
Yeah, sure. You know, I never got used to in Florida, like when we first moved there from England, how like your side of the road could be raining and the other side of the road wasn't. You know, because it's like monsoon style rain, so it just comes down so heavy and it's really kind of controlled. I remember saying it to somebody once and they were like, well, it has to stop raining somewhere. And I was like, yeah, but usually it's like gradation. You know what I mean?
Has to stop raining somewhere. That's great.
Yeah, like that's true, but usually it's like a gradation of stopping raining, but whatever. So now the world's your oyster, you know what I mean? Because you can go in here, you can say, well, you know, my sidewalk is going to be yellow. Follow the yellow brick road. Well, it's kind of olive green. Why are you olive green? Follow the yellow brick road. But then the same principle applies. If it's getting darker as it goes further back on the sides of the sidewalk, then, you know, you should like make sure the tops do the same thing. Otherwise, light is only affecting one part of it. It's not affecting two parts. That would mean that these parts back here would be darker. Let's just say it's stormy down there. How's that? Follow the yellow brick road. Y'all, there are so many things in Photoshop I have no idea to use. So definitely, if you feel like it's overwhelming, I just want you to know that it's completely okay. Can I just change the opacity? I feel like I did.
Did you just erase the side of a building?
Yeah, we turned it into telephone poles, you see?
Oh, there's supposed to be no building there. That's what totally stumped me and I lost it at that point. I'm like, what? Okay, got it. It's an either or situation here. I was
You were like, you're
I-
like, I am not following this lady's path.
I
here."
did not follow why there were telephone poles in front of buildings like that. at
Well, they
all.
could be in front of a building, right?
They could be, but I didn't get the optic thing here, but now I get it. So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I feel like I'm working with the Welsh flag, greens and reds. Feels
Use
very
Leather
Welsh.
Dragon.
Exactly. I love Wales. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Okay, you're in the suburbs now, basically, right?
But out here,
Yeah.
I was like, no, Wales is not the suburbs.
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just cleaning up my lines because I feel like they get confusing. Not as confusing as you're teaching, he said. There we go. All clean. Clean as a whistle. Now, one things I would say here too, though, is like, you know, there's like a distinct difference in the kind of like the way that, you know, we dealt with the sidewalks. We didn't really deal with the road and the lines changing based on the value. So we could do that. This does seem a bit sectional, the way that things are moving backwards in space in terms of like how they are changing in their values, you see. And so we could kind of deal with that. And back here, things are tiny. And so like we need to go in there and deal with those things too. So, you know, like this section here, like we can see that there's a little bit of a change of a value on the side of that sidewalk. Didn't quite do it on the top there. So maybe we can get away with that first one not really being affected. But we did say here that there was a change in the top value of the sidewalk there. And so we could even at that point go in and say, well, all right, well then this part, whoops. Oh, I just did two different layers, that's why.
Just to clarify, but you are now working with value, which is not part of perspective for our.
No, I think, well, I think I give you the opportunity to add some colors if you want to
Yeah,
your homework. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
okay.
why I was just playing around. And I also feel like we're probably almost caught up by now.
Ah,
And so I'm just like doing a bit more to show the possibilities.
who's almost caught up? What are you meaning? I'm not caught up. Like, I'm just watching you now. There's none of this is on my paper, but
Okay.
I'll get it afterwards, but
Yeah.
I'm watching right now.
So
Okay.
is this assignment in which we're doing like the city thing? Is that the one that's the 1 point perspective city thing that's due on Friday? Is that date gonna change?
If I feel like I want to be nice.
Please be
Yes,
nice.
it's yeah. No, it's totally gonna
Please,
change.
please
You
be
totally
nice.
want to be nice.
Please
Yes.
be nice.
No, it's totally gonna change. I wouldn't do that to you. This, you know, I just moved it the other day too. I don't know if you saw that, but like again, like I teach in a way that I hope that I can react to my students' progress. And so like, you know, I'm trying to like the reason that we delayed it was because we weren't ready. So yeah, totally, I will be reacting to that. And like, I think now we have some of the basic skills that we need, you know? And I ask you when you do turn it in, it tells you what to do, but don't erase your, you know, try to keep some of your layers as you're building, because I ask you to show me your layers. So you would just like turn all your layers on, do a screenshot, then you can delete them. And then you would just then you have like a linear drawing, and then you take a screenshot of that, and then you can go in and paint. So what I mean by that is like, you know, like what we've been trying to do, right? Which is like, we have all the dissectional layers and things, you know? And so like, before you merge them all together, or delete them all, take a screenshot And then you could like even delete them and just redraw the ones that you really want to keep, or only keep the ones you want to keep. Take a screenshot of that. And then you can do some fun little painting stuff like this, where you're just basically playing, and then do a JPEG of that. And then, you're going to submit all 3 of them. So let's look at that examples and stuff. Okay.
Wait, would you like us to use Photoshop, or could we use like other digital art sources?
Honestly, I've given up. I don't care.
I've got mine. in
Once
Sketchbook,
they made Sketchbook no longer free, and I was just stuck. I can't. I don't know. Someone in the other class at first, I was like, no, you must use what I asked you to use. And then in the end, they were like, I just want to use Photoshop. I was like, no. And then in the end, we used Photoshop. I was like, fine, I'm just going to take back my
Okay, so
ability
using
to try to control.
so
What do you
using
want to use?
Procreate.
That's fine. I just find Procreate really hard to use when it comes to like straight lines.
Linears, or
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah. Sketchbook would work really well. In fact, Sketchbook has a perspective tool that works really nice. But we haven't used it, so you'd have to do some tutorials to figure it out. Yeah, and again, y'all, if you want to do this by hand, do it by hand. Don't care. Okay, Evelyn, you got that?
Yeah, you can expect mine by hand for sure.
I thought so. I saw the reaction. That's fine. Totally fine. Totally fine. I'm trying to be like as accommodating as I can be while still teaching an extra skill. It's tough in the old online teaching world. And if you honestly, like, you can write to me for questions about Photoshop, but y'all, like, holy cow, are there better tutorials online that you can watch? This is not my, like, I'm not an expert in Photoshop, okay? All right, so I'll have to go through and kind of like jazz this up to make sure that it stays in line with what we've been doing, because it says Sketchbook and you're not using Sketchbook. But basically, you're going to make an imaginary city. Okay, it must include a road with lines, sidewalks with the divisional cracks like we did. Grass, I just did some grass for you. It's basically empty space that you paint green. 3 buildings with windows and doors, and at least 3 telephone poles and 1 point perspective. So you can see here's a student's work. This is their contour drawing. This is their like map of all their dissectional lines. And then the goal then is to redraw all the lines that you need, or just delete all the lines you don't need, and you should end up with a contour drawing like this. And then you just have some fun. Go in there and fill it in, see what you get. Okay. If you start to fill in though, like I said earlier, if you start to fill in and other stuff fills in that you don't want, then that tells you that you're trying to fill in something that doesn't have connected corners. So here's another student's example. This student obviously had digital media skills. This student was interior design. Okay. This is one of those things, y'all. This is one of those things, y'all, that like, again, like the course is built. I'm going to stop recording now. The course is built in such a way that I